In China, cars with military license plates, which are quite different from ordinary license plates, both in the colour, form and in the numbers on them, are legally entitled to exemption from road tolls and parking fees. Neither are they bound to obey the directions of ordinary civilian police officers. In effect, they are in many senses above the law. Now, these blanket privileges enjoyed by white plates, as they are often known, infuriate many ordinary, less privileged motorists. Especially galling is the fact that they are often seen on expensive luxury vehicles with no obvious military links, engaged in such crucial military tasks as picking up kids from school, going shopping, parking outside upscale restaurants and visiting tourist sites. One reason for this is that the perks and immunity the white plates offer has led to a rash of fake military plates. In response to this, the Ministry of Defence recently said that from May the 1st, all military vehicles will get new licence plates. But this has not appeased many ordinary motorists who say the plans may stop those with false plates, but they do nothing to stop the abuse of military plates by those in the military. So just what is the feeling amongst Chinese net users about these passports to impunity, and how do they feel about the announcement of a crackdown on these fake military plates? To find out, let's cross over now to the newsroom and our researcher, Julia Liu. Okay, first of all, Julia, since this general replacement of military plates is aimed at catching out those with false plates, just how common is this falsification? Aren't there serious consequences, presumably, for using these plates if you're not entitled to them?
Well, the answer to your first question is that yes, it's definitely a relatively common phenomenon. Actually, if you type military card forged on news.baidu.com, well, that's one of the largest news search engines in China, well, you'll find more than 1,700 news items about local police investigating forged military license plates. And as for punishment, well, according to China's law on road traffic safety, vehicles drivers are using counterfeit plates can face criminal charges, along with a fine of 2,000 to 5,000 yuan, and have their vehicles confiscated. And the country's criminal law also stipulates that citizens counterfeiting military plates can face up to 3 years in prison. So why are so many people willing to take the risk? Well, I've gathered a few opinions from net users on this. First, Wang Xiaoyu says on QQ.com. In fact, the traffic police are generally not empowered with the jurisdiction over military cars. And the only occasion when they have the right to check a military car is when they find it breaking the laws or traffic rules, which means many with fake plates can drive on the road safely enough as long as they behave properly. Then while this poster mentions the lack of supervision from the military itself. In fact, the military don't actually pay much attention to punishment for this either. Every military zone has its own department to regulate vehicles, and basically they don't exchange information. So it's very often almost impossible to track if a plate is forged or not due to this.
Okay, Julia, so not great if you're caught, but it seems not a great chance in the first place that you actually will be caught. So some people obviously willing to take the chance. Can you give us a bit more reaction from net users as to exactly what they feel is the chief attraction of these military license plates?
Well, as you pointed out, they do offer a certain immunity to drivers, especially in terms of road tolls and parking fees. In fact, just recently we had a case of a truck carrying fireworks illegally, which exploded and brought down a bridge, killing 26 people. And in that case, the driver was using a fake military plate to avoid paying road tolls, but would also be less likely to be stopped and checked by police. But the most common response from net users is convenience and cost, as Xinbu Laojie says on Weibo.com. There are just so many benefits in using forged military license plates. It saves a lot of money and time. But despite the financial aspect, interestingly, many net users point out it's actually not ordinary drivers, but the so-called rich and privileged elites who seem to be particularly attracted to such a plates. And this poster has one example. In a society where people are obsessed with comparisons, it's not enough for some people to simply drive a luxurious car. I still remember when Wang Shuo, one of Beijing's so-called 4 playboys, crashed into the car of one of his rivals while pointing a gun at him in back 2010. They were using fake military plates on their expensive cars. While Ding Huajie has one suggestion for the growing anger at those who take advantage of these license plates. Well, the reason why net users hate these people is that they seem to enjoy twin privileges of having both money and power. Well, that's no longer something people who can see the huge gap between rich and poor in China are willing to put up with.
Now, as we mentioned, these new regulations seem to aim specifically at those using forged fake military plates for whatever advantages. What about those who are actually in the military and abuse them by using these when they're not on duty, for example?
Well, sure, and that's something that's being hotly discussed as well. Many posters say that before they criticize the public for using these plates illegally, the military needs to have a look at how they take unfair advantage of them first. For example, some mentioned a case last month when an elderly man in Guangzhou made headlines after he confronted a uniformed officer in the military car with a woman, shouting, "Are military cars for chauffeuring wives around? Are you allowed to use taxpayers' money like that?" And here's what a poster on Tencent.com has to say. It's not a simple question about fake military plates. Well, what matters here is that the existing idea that you can do it, so I can do it as well by pretending to be one of you. At the same time, many posters mention the importance of internet in raising the profile of this issue. Guo Zhangli says on sxdaily.com, the supervision from the internet has become an effective way of exposing scandals in recent years. And the recent online campaign involving net users posting military cars visiting tourist sites recently was a good move. And finally, we have this Pan Jianming on the same website who believes the good name of the entire army is at stake. The military is always a place that shares the highest respect from people for the contributions the soldiers have made. But in recent years, some particular cases have defamed the military in a really bad way. For example, we've heard the case of a commissar from Guangzhou slapping a stewardess on an airplane. And it's urgent to crack down on such incidents and save the reputation of the army.
Okay, thanks for that, Julia. That was China Tech researcher Julia Liu with reaction from net users to an announcement of a clampdown on false military license plates used by ordinary drivers. Next here on China Tech, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines. Let's see what's got Chinese net users curious these days.